Hello and welcome to our final episode of BSME Talks for this academic year. I'm Debra Forsyth, CEO of BSME.
And I'm Nalini Cook, COO of BSME.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different to our regular episodes. Rather than welcoming a guest today, Nalini and I are going to be taking the opportunity to pause and reflect on what has been quite a year for BSME, our schools, our partners, and in fact for the wider community. It's been a year of remarkable achievements, inspiring conversations, unforgettable student experiences, but we can't deny it. It's also been a year in which schools across the region have had to navigate significant uncertainty and challenge. So in this year-end episode, as we wrap up our very first season of BSME Talks, we're looking back at the year that was, reflecting on what stood out for us and looking forward to the year ahead. Nalini, would you like to kick us off?
I am, and I'm going to kick us off with the launch of our new website. It already feels like, honestly, a lifetime ago. But it was a huge project that took up well over 18 months of my time and certainly that of our digital marketing lead, Alexandra White. It was all consuming, actually, and it seems bizarre that was still this academic year, but so long ago.
That was a long time ago. Yeah,
it was. So that launched in late September, early October. I can't actually remember. That's terrible, isn't it? But we managed to get that launched towards the beginning of this academic year. And so there is a brand new BSME website. So if you haven't actually seen that yet, please go and take a look. Very much a work in progress, as I think these things always are, but lots and lots and lots of information on there. And two new things that actually I'd like to highlight that I've been really proud of how they've started off this year. One is the jobs board.
great.
Perhaps never more relevant than this year. So there is a BSME specific jobs board powered by TES. On our website, and if you're looking for a really quick, easy way of finding it, you just go to bsme.org.uk and it's right along the top there, jobs. And the other is our research hub, which you can find in the Welcome to BSME section. And that hosts a wealth of, perhaps a wealth might be overselling it at the moment, but we are building up slowly to a resource hub that allows those who are conducting their own research within our greater community, whether that's a master's, a PhD, some action research in your school, even some student research. There are links to various surveys that people are doing that will be ultimately of use to our membership. And so when the research is ready, that will also be published there. But for the moment, there are links to surveys on a variety of things, and we encourage you to go there and take a look and to read the research once it's out.
Thanks, Nalini. And we have got lots of action research going on in our schools. I've been to 2 events in the last month where teachers have been showcasing their action research projects. So lots of stuff, hopefully, that we'll be able to get uploaded and shared across the new website. Yeah. And of course, the jobs page. I will say schools, you don't have to pay to advertise your jobs on the jobs page. So every single school should know about this and be using it. And of course, anybody looking for a job should be going there too. So other things that have been exciting this year, we've worked really hard in the last few years to try to get our networks a little bit more embedded. And we've really seen, I think, the benefits this year. Layla, who's been managing our networks, has done a tremendous job over the last year, 18 months, to really get our networks embedded. We've got new network leads across a number of our new networks, and we're really recognizing and valuing the input that those new network leads are giving us. We've got way more teachers signed up for networks, way more things going on, and very excitingly, for the first time this year, we had some of our collabs. A collaboration is a bit like a bigger network event. So our network events are often about 30 minutes, an hour, once a term or once every half term if we've got an eager beaver. But the collabs, longer than that. So they bring together teachers who are working on in a similar area with similar challenges, maybe bringing them together for half a day or possibly a full day, spend a bit more time really deep diving into things and exploring and bouncing ideas off each other. So this year we had 2 collabs take place, one for performing arts and one for AI, both in fact hosted by Arcadia. So well done, Arcadia School, for playing your part. But we have had lots of our network leads come back to us to say that they're really excited about doing collabs next year. So we're really hoping that this is something that can grow, and a real opportunity for teachers to come together and work on how they can develop their teaching, their departments, and actually just support each other.
I think along similar lines, of course, we started TeacherCon a couple of years ago with TeacherCon DXB24, I think was our first one. We'll be going into our third one next academic year, so that's become an annual event. But this year we also launched, and I'm remembering now why my brain was so foggy around website launch, because of course this was all going on at the same time. We had TeacherCon Dubai 25, and 2 weeks later, because we're gluttons for punishment, we decided we would run TeacherCon Doha. So that took place October 18th, if memory serves me correctly. And TeacherCons, if you're not familiar with the concept, are essentially open to all teachers. We gather our speakers from teaching staff themselves. It's very much peer-led, and anybody, whether you're at a BSME school or not, can attend, and it's our way of giving back to the education community. And I'm really pleased to say we're going to be launching one in Saudi next year, but more of that later.
Oh, very exciting indeed. Now, I've been spending part of my time this year working on maybe not one of the most exciting bits of the work that we do, but an important part of the work that we do nonetheless, and that is working with the UK government. We have close ties with the Department for Education, Department for Business and Trade, Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, and this year saw the publication of the latest version of the International Education Strategy, which is a document published by the UK government talking about their goals, their aims for that international education sector, which of course we're all part of. So that publication went out in January. And we have had several meetings with government departments since then. We work with a group called the Education Strategy Action Group, where lots of organisations like BSME come together to give support, guidance and information to the UK government. And I do see it as a really, as I said, maybe not very exciting part of what we do, but a really important part in terms of making sure that the voice of our schools are heard in that context and among those people who are making decisions that potentially could have an impact on the work that's ongoing in our schools around the region.
I know it takes up a lot of your time, but I think it's really important. And I think it's something that people often don't know about us and what we do as an organisation. Now, one other way in which we make our voice heard, or certainly in which we've made our voice heard this academic year, and hopefully we will be continuing to do going forward, is, of course, the launch of this podcast that you're listening to now. I don't think any of us would claim to be experts at this, but we recorded, I think, 1, possibly 2 episodes before the world all went a little bit pear-shaped here. But yeah, we've been doing far more than we had originally anticipated and scheduled for in a response to the ongoing situation. But hopefully you've had a chance to listen to some of the podcast episodes. I know you recorded one, Deborah, earlier this week, I think, that was for...
I did, yeah, 2 for me this week.
Yeah, new teachers coming along. So if you're still looking for teachers at this point in the year, if you are a teacher, perhaps in the UK or somewhere else overseas, considering coming to the region, you should definitely have a listen to that episode as well. But yes, lots of great plans for the podcast for the coming academic year. So keep tuned. BSME Talks will definitely keep you updated on what we're doing and what's going on in the world of BSME.
Yeah, and interesting, Nalini, that when we started off talking about the podcast we're going on maybe once a fortnight if we can find enough to talk about. And here we are now with one a week. Yes. So definitely plenty to talk about and some great guests that we've had on board too. Other new things that we have brought in this year, we've actually brought in 2 new BSME awards. The first of these was announced, in fact, they were both announced at annual conference in February. The first of these is the Outstanding Contribution to International Education Award, bit of a mouthful. And this was actually created after a discussion about the passing of Mark Evans with Penta International, and a real feeling from colleagues that had worked with Mark over many years that it would be really nice to be able to recognise his huge contribution to the international education sector, particularly in terms of accreditation, but really across all aspects of that. He invested his whole being for his whole life pretty much in that sector. So discussion then amongst our executive committee decided that actually it would be quite nice to have an award that could recognise Mark, but also other people who contribute so much to the sector. So we launched that at annual conference in February, and our first Outstanding Contribution to International Education Award was presented posthumously to Mark Evans of Penta International to recognise his great contribution. And then the second set of awards are our BSME Beacon Awards, and these are student awards, and we really wanted to be able to celebrate students across our member schools who really embody the culture and the values that are at the heart of the BSME community. We talk about BSME being by members for members, really being a community organisation, and three key values and strategies that are really important to the organisation are collaboration, inclusion and innovation. And these are the titles that we have chosen for our Beacon Awards. So BSME Beacon Awards exist for collaboration, for inclusion and innovation. And we have invited schools to nominate students in primary and in secondary for these awards. And those certificates have been wending their way out to schools to present in their end of year graduation ceremonies or prize givings. And in fact, I had the pleasure yesterday of being in Egypt to present Beacon Awards to students in one of our schools in Egypt, and in fact to present an Ed Goodwin Award to a graduating student there too. So it's really nice to actually be on the ground being able to give out some of those awards. And if you've not put in your request for your Beacon Awards for your students yet, it's not too late. Find the email that talks about that, or you can find it on the website and make sure that your school's nominating your students and recognising those qualities that we're all really keen to inculcate in students.
Yeah, it's a really nice way of students being involved, and also I think acknowledging our values as an organisation and bringing that right down to across the board. You mentioned really briefly there the annual conference, because of course that's where we launched all of these awards. I'm going to touch on it really quickly because it's not a new thing. Obviously, we've been doing annual conference for more than 40 years, but I think it's such a huge part of our work. I think what a lot of people don't realise is that we're actually quite a small team. We're 10 people in total in the BSME office, and there are 6 of us that ultimately work on pulling together the annual conference in some way, shape or form. But we are not professional event organisers, and I'm really proud of the work that everybody does. So we had annual conference this year, which I'm very, very grateful for, that didn't get interrupted by everything that followed. And that was focused on the human algorithm this year just gone. And I'm really pleased to announce that we will be hosting Annual Conference 2027 from the, I should know this date off by heart, from the 2nd to the 4th of February. 2027 in Abu Dhabi. More details will be on the website very, very shortly, hopefully by the time you're listening to this. So keep an eye out for that. But then, of course, as I alluded to there, post-annual conference this year.
Yeah.
Quite a lot
was all looking great at that point, wasn't it, Nalini? We'd had a fantastic term 1, gone into term 2, really successful conference, looking forward to an equally exciting second half of the year. And it, as you said earlier, it all sort of went a little bit pear-shaped. So yeah, February the 28th, the date that I think will be forever burnt in our brain, was the day things sort of started to unwind a little bit in the Middle East. As everybody is aware, we had a little bit of a war, regional conflict, call it what you will, but it had a bit of an impact on life at BSME and what we were able to do and what we weren't. Had some positive impacts too, but certainly it messed up our calendar at the very least. Tell us about the impacts from your point of view there, Nalini.
Yeah, I mean, as most people know, a lot of what we do is providing events, whether those are student events, whether those are professional learning events for our wider community. So, and quite often when we put these dates in, again, it's something that I think people don't see behind the scenes. The reason events are often when they are placed is because there is actually so little time in school. It's a really fine-tuned machine that that calendar gets put together well over a year in advance. Just in order to fit everything in. I think we've got something like 53, 54 student events running in the academic year. I couldn't even tell you how many PL events, professional learning, that's what we call it. But of course, quite a lot of those in-person events had to be cancelled just because we weren't sure of the situation, people couldn't travel, various things. And I think safety always comes first, whether that's our staff, our members, whether it's children. We're very mindful that everybody must be safe and secure. So we did unfortunately have to cancel or postpone a number of events, including the last few of our games events for the students, which I know are a really big deal, as well as a number of our conferences, including, I'm trying to think, EYFS, if you were signed up for that. But what we did do is we were able to pivot a little bit, at least, and put on, for students, we launched a hackathon. That is ongoing, actually, and the culmination of that will be tomorrow, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with presentations of the problem solving that's been going on there. We launched Generation Global, and the dialogue, we felt that more than ever, good dialogue was needed, not necessarily people digging their heels in and sticking to their point, but actually learning how to effectively dialogue and reach compromise. And I think perhaps the one that's caused us the most headache but been the most rewarding has been the pivoting of the Business of Schools conference. So the Business of Schools conference, if you're not aware of it, is for those people who keep our schools running operationally: HR, marketing, admissions, finance, and operations. And that had been scheduled for April, I think it was. And we pivoted to run that as a webinar series online over the course of 4 days. First time any of us had ever run anything like that. And it definitely caused some sleepless nights, but I'm really pleased at how successfully it went. I don't know if you realise we had, I don't think we've talked about this yet, Deborah. We have 54 different schools sign up for that.
Wow. I know that there were some really good sessions. I managed to listen in to a couple of the sessions.
Yeah.
There was really good quality. Hadn't realized I had 54 different schools though. That's actually really positive.
Yeah. And so if people were sending somebody from those departments each day, obviously the uptake on that was really good. We've had some lovely feedback following that. So that was really interesting. So there were, as you said, some things that perhaps didn't go the way we wanted, but other things that we were able to pivot on and move separately. And I think the other thing that I'm really proud of is the resource page that you and I worked so hard on at the beginning, when everything had first started, and the way that our whole community came together, partners as well as schools, just volunteering services, offering things for free, supporting each other. I know we had a number of WhatsApp groups going in addition to the usual heads groups that we have. We had partner groups going, we had heads calls going online. It was really lovely to see that collaboration within our community. It was a nice silver lining.
It was, yeah. And the resource page, we had so much positive feedback on the resource page and how useful that was to people. I didn't feel like we had to work very hard at that. People were, take this, take this, take this. It was lovely. As you say, a real silver lining there in that cloudy, war-torn sky that we had at the time.
Yeah.
Just
and
to
worth
see
noting,
people coming together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say it's worth noting that resource page is still there. So if you go to the BSME website, it's at the top on the top bar. So just click on, I think it's called Regional Updates, and you'll see all of those resources. We'll keep that there till the end of term. So if you haven't had a chance to look, do take a quick look, because there is an absolute plethora of free resources for schools throughout the region.
Excellent. And we talked about cancelled events. Amongst the cancelled events, of course, were in four of our member countries, with cancellation of school exams. And I know that was an incredibly trying time for teachers, for parents, for students. There was a really sticky time of not knowing quite what was going to happen. Obviously, exam boards, everybody in the UK too, had a bit of a curveball thrown at them, and it took a little while for the exam boards to work out how they could manage that situation for students. But really pleased with how things worked out in the end, that the exam boards found a way for all students to find a way towards certification. We had some really positive meetings, and I would say that's where the relationships that we nurture with the Department for Education and the Department for Business and Trade and UCAS and UUK and lots of other acronyms within UK government really come into their own at a difficult time like that, because we were able to reach out to all the people that we needed to reach out to in the UK to make sure that they were hearing loud and clear the challenges to schools, the impact on students, and really, really clear what we expected them to be doing to help move things along. So yeah, I'm guessing by now all of the groundwork has been done, and all of the alternative assessment material has been submitted, where that's the approach that schools are following. And of course, the next sort of D date for that is going to be exam days coming up in August. Sorry, results days coming up in August. We do have meetings scheduled with Ofqual and the exam boards again in August, and also with the Department for Education. So when we get to that point of seeing, okay, we've put all of this in place, now we're getting to results days, are we where we expect to be on results? We have the opportunity then to go back and speak to people if we do need to, if there are issues. So we'll say to anybody in any of our schools, on results day, if you feel that you have got issues, you've got problems that need to be resolved, please do get in touch. We have that contact with the people on the ground in the UK to try to help resolve any issues. But we're all hoping that it's all going to go forward really positively, and that students will get the grades that they deserved, regardless of circumstance, and be able to go on to the futures that they were always planning, university, work, whatever it was. So that's where we're hoping we'll be. But if it doesn't work out that way, please, please, please let us know.
Been a busy year, but aside from war, which obviously took up a huge amount of our last few months, and I think it's important to note that for anybody listening now, I think this is probably going to go out next week, but we've had some really nice updates just in the last few days. Obviously, there is a peace deal hopefully about to be signed. The FCDO has changed its guidance for the region, and it is no longer travel that's limited only to essential travel. So you are free to come and go to the region. So please do. We'd love to see anybody who's outside the region. If you come here, let us know. But aside from conflict, etc., there's been some other things safeguarding wise that you've worked on quite a lot this year, Deborah.
Yeah, obviously safeguarding is always a big part of what we do. Not new, but that doesn't make it any less important. And hopefully all of our listeners know that BSME is a founder member of BISC, British International School Safeguarding Coalition, and we work in that coalition with lots of other international school organisations to try to improve circumstances for global safeguarding in international schools, certainly, particularly across borders where that can be quite difficult. So we have continued our work with that organisation. We've had a number of meetings with key stakeholders from UK organisations, again, government organisations, but also with the National Crime Agency, with Interpol, looking for ways that we can improve legislation to make it easier for international schools to check on the suitability of a candidate that they're looking at, but also should there be an issue to actually report a teacher that has been working in their school. So that's ongoing. We have seen a change of legislation that's really happened just in the last couple of weeks, that we are hopeful will translate into being able to report issues with any teacher who has worked at any time in a UK school. As I said, that law has just come into act. And so we are now waiting for procedures and policies to change to actually allow that to happen. Hopefully we'll have some exciting news on that in September. But from our side, what we've also been doing to support safeguarding is offering free training for our member schools. We've run 2 sets of free training this year, one in suicide and self-harm prevention and the other in safe recruitment. Safe recruitment, the war got in the way a little bit, so we haven't quite finished that. So we'll have a few more sessions of that running at the start of next year. So if your school has not availed of that opportunity to have someone attend the safe recruitment training, please get in touch and we'll get you onto one of those courses at the start of the next year. Talking about the next year, Nalini, what exciting things are you looking forward to?
I was going to say, it's really nice to be looking forward. Obviously, this is a reflection on last year, but it is really nice to be looking forward. And the team's been planning and prepping really, really hard. So we've got a number of new things coming in next year. There's lots of things that will continue to happen as you expect them to, and always will. But a couple of new things that I really want to highlight for people. We're going to be running a leadership retreat. So it's been a tough old year. So if you need a little bit of time out to perhaps reflect on your own leadership practices, to grow if you're a new or sort of an aspiring to become an experienced principal, if you'd like to do that, look out for that. That should be happening at the end of November. We will be launching, as I mentioned, TeacherCon in Saudi. That will be taking place in Jeddah in November, and that'll be in addition to the TeacherCons taking place in Dubai and Doha. So that what would I call it? Essentially TeacherCon's expanding its reach, which is really wonderful to be able to be offering something like that. If you want to know more about either of those things, do go to the professional learning page on the website. Alternatively, if you're not aware, we've also launched a teacher's Instagram account. I'd love to say, because we're all funky and trendy and we know what we're doing, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing on Instagram, but fortunately Zandra's running it. So if you would like to know more, lots of things on there, including competitions to win free tickets, etc. The Instagram handle is at BSME_teachers. So you can keep up to date either on Instagram or via the website. And then for students, we're going to be launching a BSME MUN, which I'm really excited about. As well as a student conference, and that's been a huge subject of discussion in the office. I know it's something you've really wanted to do for a long time, so we're squeezing that into the calendar as well. That should also be in November, the student conference. So keep your eyes posted for more details as they're available. We will put those on the student calendar on the website. So those are some of the new things coming up in student events and professional learning. But I know we've also talked about something new for heads, right, Debra?
Yes, we have. We're looking next year to refresh our new heads buddy system. And it's been quite interesting sort of keeping an eye on LinkedIn posts in the last few months to see just how many heads are moving on and new heads are coming into post. So a really good time for us to be having a bit of a fresh focus on this, of having an experienced head in the country, in the region, to help support new heads coming into their role. And that could be completely new to the region, maybe new to headship, maybe new to headship within the region or within your school. And it's really just making sure that heads have got someone to talk to. Headship can be a really, really lonely place. And sometimes you don't feel you can reach out to talk to anybody. You don't want to talk to your staff about problems that you're having and not quite sure what to do here or there. So it's really trying to make sure that we're looking after the well-being of our heads and that they have got someone that they can talk to that knows the ropes, been around the block in the country, in the region for a little while, knows who to talk to and maybe who not to talk to. So we're going to be refreshing that, and we will be getting in touch with all new heads at the start of the school year to offer that to them. We'll also be reaching out to existing heads to say, are you happy to be a buddy for an incoming new head? We will do that to all of the new heads that we know. I will say every year we sort of get to about November and discover that there's a new head that we've only just learnt about. So if you are moving to a new leadership position within a BSME school in the region, please do reach out and make sure that we know that you're there. We want to make sure that we're supporting you. So let us know and we can include you in that new buddy system when it goes live.
I think it's really exciting. And of course, we always do a new heads gathering of some sort at the annual conference as well. So if you haven't been to one of our conferences before, again, let us know and we'd be delighted to see you there. Now, I'm mindful that we said, this will take 15 minutes, and we've I enjoyed a really good chat. So I'm going to finish us up. And we normally finish our podcast asking our guests to tell us about a teacher who was most impactful in their lives. But we've answered that in our first
Been there,
podcast.
done
So
that.
I'm going to give you a different question, Deborah, and
Mm.
ask you, I think quite nicely, given what we've talked about, what's been the highlight of the year for you, the last academic year?
Oh, the highlight. There's been a lot of different lights, including red lights in the sky. And actually, it might seem a little bit weird, but I am going to pick on that part of the year for the highlight for me.
Okay.
It was a very challenging time, but I mentioned earlier that it was really positive to see how the community came together, and I think that probably was a highlight of the year for me. I think it was a real demonstration of everything we would want BSME to be, the real underpinning of what we are as an organisation and what we value, that collaboration, community spirit, supporting one another. And I really felt that the whole community came together incredibly strongly. As you said, partners very willingly saying, here, have what I've got, it might be useful. All of that free resources on the webpage there, but also you mentioned the WhatsApp group. We have WhatsApp group for school leaders in each of our countries or cities if it's a bigger country, and to see the support that was going on there for heads who are struggling with anything really. It was a safe space for them to reach out and say, how are you coping with this in your school? When some countries had started back into school and others had not yet, then those schools that were back were giving guidance to those who had not yet started about how it was going, what safety procedures they had in place. So just a real positive time. Sounds a bit weird for a wartime, but it was a real positive time for people collaborating together and for me living the BSME ethos, which is fantastic.
It's really nice. Lovely way
Yeah.
to close this rather anomalous academic year. I'm going to leave you to close up our episode today.
Yeah, okay. And as you said, it has been rather anomalous, but not all bad, definitely. I'd like to thank our school members, our partners, students, educators, parents, guests, certainly the people we've had on the podcast, for contributing whatever it is that you've contributed to the BSME community during the course of the year. And there's been lots and lots of contributions. Thank you to everyone that's listened to any of our podcasts, supported us, joined us in any of the BSME Talks episodes. Thank you for being there. Makes us feel like we're not talking to ourselves. And if you've got something that you'd like to contribute to a future episode, please do let us know that too. In the meantime, though, I'm going to wish you all a very restful summer break, and we look forward to connecting with you all again at the start of the next academic year for exciting conversations, insights, and stories. Thank you very much for listening. Happy teaching, happy holiday to you all. And thank you very much, Nalini, for your support.
Thank you. Thanks, Deborah. Bye.